Warning: the following video contains explicit language which may be offensive to some viewers or inappropriate for children. The content within this video is intended for mature audiences only.
Are you ready?
Hey everybody, it's Jeff. Hope everybody had a great weekend. It's Sunday night here, 7:30 I guess. It was a cold day but a sunny day. A little windy too. It was like in the, I guess it was like in the low 40s or something like that. They're predicting, though, we might get one more day coming up here that's probably going to be in the high 50s, believe it or not. We might have another one more day, one more good day coming our way. So everyone's looking forward to that. All right, so I got a video I want to play here for this first segment, which I will discuss in the second segment. It's pretty good. Video that talks about how well Kamala is doing on the campaign, and how it's her campaign is energizing the Democrat base, bringing in a lot of voters, causing a lot of early voting to happen. So let's get to the video. It's about 22 or 23 minutes long. So let's get to that, and we'll go to a commercial break after, and I'll see you on the other side.
If there's one group Donald Trump should have never messed with, it's women. But he did, and now he is paying the ultimate price. Trump is now freaking out as his attacks on women are backfiring, and now it appears that they could be the death knell of the Trump campaign. We are receiving voter data right now showing women voting in record numbers, far outpacing men at the polls, and Trump is now trying to say they shouldn't care that he stripped them of their reproductive freedom. Yeah, I'm not sure that's going to work out for you, Donald. My name is Brett Meiselas here with the Midas Touch Network. Remember to hit subscribe and help us get to 3.5 million subscribers. Here's an update for you. This is as of Friday. 9.5 million early votes cast so far in the 7 swing states. 952,866 more women have voted than men, or 55.1% to 44.9%. The gender gap grew by 87,396 from Thursday. Gender turnout gap is plus 14 points in Michigan, plus 13 in Pennsylvania, plus 12 in Georgia, plus 10 in Wisconsin, plus 9 in North Carolina, plus 4 in Arizona, and it's falling a little short in Nevada, but overall, very good for Vice President Kamala Harris. And over the weekend, we've been seeing a similar pace of women far outpacing men at the polls. As political strategist Stuart Stevens says in response to that information, polls have sample sizes of hundreds or a couple of thousand. Early voting has sample sizes of millions. It's not theoretical or speculative. All polling is based on modeling from past elections. There has never been a gender gap like this in turnout. If Harris wins by a surprising number, this will be why pollsters didn't see it coming. Matthew Dowd, another political strategist, writes, "The national polls showing this race even are making assumptions that men, whites, older voters, and Republicans will have a larger share of the vote this year than in 2020. The polls with Harris up 3 or so have it more balanced to what 2020 was. Harris is up 3 or so. MSNBC's Jesse Rodriguez writes, Harris's closing message seems to be breaking through. Trump trails her by 12 points on who is more honest and trustworthy in a new CNN poll, and by 6 points on who cares about people like you and who will put the country's interest above their own. And here's some other incredible polling we are seeing in recent days. This from Harvard, presidential polling among likely 18 to 29-year-olds. Harris at 60%, Trump at just 32%. And then there's the stunning poll out of New Hampshire. I'm going to preface this by saying this is an outlier, but these are incredible numbers for Vice President Harris. This is from Dartmouth. Vice President Harris in New Hampshire at 59% to Trump's 38%, plus 21 for Vice President Kamala Harris. Meanwhile, we're getting more information about who is voting on each side during the early voting period. And here's what we're finding. This is from New York Magazine. They say the returned Republican ballots in Pennsylvania largely come from voters who had cast a ballot in 2020, a sign that their early vote is not bringing any new voters to the polls so much as it is cannibalizing the election day vote. This would be an especially good sign for Democrats, since the Trump theory of victory relies on first-time and low-propensity voters coming to the polls, according to Tom Bonnier, the CEO of TargetSmart, a Democratic data firm. Quote, if I'm Trump, I'm a little more worried than the Harris campaign, because the Trump campaign needed to change the makeup of the electorate to find an advantage that was not there 4 years ago, he said. They need to turn out young people and people who don't regularly vote, and there is no evidence of that materializing. We are seeing this stunning information right now, which shows that the energy is on Vice President Kamala Harris' side. Tom Bonnier also adds this. He says, sort of amazing that despite GOP efforts to shift their voters to early voting and Democrats moving back to election day voting post-pandemic, the gender gap in Michigan is now bigger than it was at this point in 2020 or 2022. More bad news for Donald Trump. And Trump knows that he is on the wrong side of the abortion issue and that he has screwed this up. So he's trying to act like this is not even a big deal at all, that reproductive freedom, who cares about it? This is what Donald Trump wrote on his social media website yesterday. Quote, abortion has dropped way down as an issue. States are already giving it to the people to vote, which is what everyone wanted. Like Ronald Reagan, I believe in the exceptions for rape, incest, and the life of the mother. Many states are already done. Others are moving to a vote now. A 52-year contentious issue will finally be coming to a close. The focus is now on the broken border, inflation, and the economy. Well, just because you say that, Donald, does not make it true. This is one of the biggest issues of this election, and it's an issue that impacts all Americans. And Kamala Harris is focusing on this quite extensively in her campaign, including at her rally in Houston, where this was the main theme. Vice President Kamala Harris responded to Donald Trump's post, writing the following. Women are suffering and dying because of Trump's abortion bans. Americans will show Donald Trump at the ballot box exactly how much we care about reproductive freedom. And as we look at Donald Trump's closing message, it is just so incredibly bizarre. From that post to what he's saying at his rallies, it just leaves you scratching your head as to what the heck is going on. Donald Trump at all of his rallies now, including yesterday in Michigan, his closing message is to say that America's horrible and that it is a garbage can.
But I use this term, I always said we're the dumping ground for the world. Yesterday I said we're the garbage can for the world. We're a garbage can. We're like a garbage can, and they dump.
Meanwhile, on Saturday, Vice President Harris was with Michelle Obama in Kalamazoo, Michigan, or as they were calling it, Kamalazoo. It was Michelle Obama's first stop on the campaign trail, and they were highlighting the issue of reproductive freedom. Let me just show you the crowd at this event.
The stage, your former First Lady.
Now let's compare that to Donald Trump's event yesterday in Pennsylvania, where the crowd emptied out of their already half-empty seats while Trump was speaking. Watch this.
That's a position that our country. I want to go from the alien and vision 1798. We have to go back.
And in these final speeches, Trump spends so much of them just being incredibly jealous of the enthusiasm and the momentum of Vice President Harris's campaign. And it is crushing him that Beyonce and all of these celebrities are coming out to support her. So Donald Trump just keeps lying about it. Donald Trump said at the Houston, Texas event, which you all saw, that everybody left once Beyonce left and that everyone was so disappointed by Beyonce and that the whole thing was a disaster. Watch this.
You know, last night my opponent had one of these, and they bust in people, but you know, they got Beyonce, and Beyonce, you know, Beyonce. They got Beyonce. So Beyonce went up, spoke for a couple of minutes, and then left, and the place went crazy. They booed the hell out of everybody. They thought she was going to perform. Now, I would have no interest in that, but they said, and what happened is, my opponent got up and started speaking. They booed the hell out of her. It's crazy.
He's so jealous. By the way, just his lying alone, if you take away everything else, that should be disqualifying. But let me jog his memory right here. How about that? Let's play the clip of the 30,000 people at the Harris rally in Houston. Watch. In Kalamazoo, instead of being focused on crowd size like Donald Trump, Vice President Kamala Harris was focused on the issues, and at the rally, she responded to Donald Trump's claim that everybody wanted Roe v. Wade overturned. Watch this.
The suffering. And you know, Donald Trump still refuses to even acknowledge the pain and suffering he has caused. He insists that, and I'm going to quote, everybody wanted Roe v. Wade to be overturned? Come on, everybody wanted this? Women are being denied care during miscarriages? Some only being treated once they developed sepsis? They didn't want this. Couples just trying to grow their family who have been cut off from IVF treatments? They didn't want this. The men of America seeing their daughters, wives, sisters, and mothers put at risk because their rights have been stripped away? The men of America don't want this. Women have died because of these bans. How could anybody say that they wanted this? And you have heard me say, I do believe Donald Trump to be an unserious man. But the consequences of him ever being president again are brutally serious. Brutally serious. And what I mentioned are just some of the consequences of what he has done. And I will tell you, I pledge to you, when Congress passes a bill to restore reproductive freedom nationwide, as President of the United States, I will proudly sign it into law. Proudly.
And former First Lady Michelle Obama's speech yesterday was so incredibly powerful. If you can, watch the full thing. But I want to show you this clip where she made a powerful case for why men should be caring about reproductive freedom. Check this out.
So to the men who love us, let me just try to paint a picture of what it will feel like if America, the wealthiest nation on earth, keeps revoking basic care from its women, and how it will affect every single woman in your life. Your girlfriend could be the one in legal jeopardy if she needs a pill from out of state or overseas, or if she has to travel across state lines because the local clinic closed up. Your wife or mother could be the ones at higher risk of dying from undiagnosed cervical cancer because they have no access to regular gynecological care. Your daughter could be the one too terrified to call the doctor if she's bleeding during an unexpected pregnancy. Your niece could be the one miscarrying in her bathtub after the hospital turned her away. And this will not just affect women. It will affect you and your sons. The devastating consequences of teen pregnancy won't just be borne by young girls. but also by the young men who are the fathers. They too will have their dreams of going to college. Their entire future is totally upended by an unwanted pregnancy. If you and your partner are expecting a child, you will be right by her side at the checkups, terrified if her blood pressure is too high, or if there's an issue with the placenta, or if the ultrasound shows that the embryo was implanted in the wrong place, and the doctors aren't sure that they can intervene to keep the woman you love safe. If your wife is shivering and bleeding on the operating room table during a routine delivery gone bad, her pressure dropping as she loses more and more blood, or some unforeseen infection spreads and her doctors aren't sure if they can act, you will be the one praying that it's not too late. You will be the one pleading for somebody, anybody, to do something. And then there is the tragic but very real possibility that in the worst case scenario, you just might be the one holding flowers at the funeral. You might be the one left to raise your children alone. See, these are just some of the ways women die during childbirth. And I don't want to be a downer, y'all. But in many cases, there is no warning and things go bad very quickly. And when it happens, every second of hesitation or delay can lead to devastating outcomes. So I am asking y'all from the core of my being to take our lives seriously. Please, do not put our lives in the hands of politicians, mostly men, who have no clue or do not care about what we as women are going through.
Michelle Obama also spoke about why it's so important that we get this election right. Watch.
But to anyone out there thinking about sitting out this election or voting for Donald Trump or a third-party candidate in protest because you're fed up, let me warn you, your rage does not exist in a vacuum. If we don't get this election right, your wife, your daughter, your mother, we as women will become collateral damage to your rage. So, are you as men prepared to look into the eyes of the women and children you love and tell them that you supported this assault on our safety?
And one of the other stories we see developing right now is that there are a lot of kind of normal mainstream Republicans and conservatives out there who will not vote for Donald Trump and who are voting for Vice President Kamala Harris here. Because with the things Donald Trump is saying, like when he calls America a trash can, when he just lies all the time, his attacks on women, you have these voters going out there and saying, that's not the America that I grew up with. This is not what I stand for as a conservative, as an American, as somebody who loves freedom. Listen to what this Pennsylvania Republican has to say.
Thank you for being here today.
My pleasure.
I'm the co-chair of Republicans for Harris in Pennsylvania. And it seems like we're all doing kind of a similar task. And, you know, one thing that we talk about to our Republican and independent audiences is how Donald Trump talks about this country. And it is exactly the opposite of the kind of message that brought me to the Republican Party in the first place. And that was Ronald Reagan. This is a shining city on the hill.
Yep.
He just the other day called America a garbage can.
That's insane to me.
The voter enthusiasm across the country right now is just through the roof. And this weekend was the first time that people in Michigan were able to actually early vote in person. Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson wrote the following. All across Michigan, citizens are showing up in record numbers to vote early. Before today, this was posted on Saturday, the record for early voting in a single day was 11,000 voters. Are you ready for this? It's barely noon and already 70,000 have voted. Let's go vote. And within a few hours after this, Michigan already surpassed over 100,000 voters in the first day of early voting, and it's way beyond that right now. So absolutely incredible turnout. Here are some other photos from the lines at at the polling places. Here's the line to vote in one of the 6 early voting sites in the city of Ann Arbor, big college town, went 87% for Joe Biden. You could see that right there. Here's the line to vote in Farmington Hills, Michigan. This is one of the bluer Detroit metro suburbs, a very diverse area. This went 65% Biden. You could see a lot of people lined up right there. Here's a line in Bloomfield Hills. This is home of the Romney-Biden voters, who would be like Nikki Haley people. In 2012, Romney won this area by 34. In 2020, Biden won this area by 1. And you could see this massive line of people to vote right here. And speaking of Nikki Haley voters, let me show you this clip of a former Haley voter on how she decided to vote for Vice President Harris. Watch this.
Attorney Joan London switched her registration to independent after voting for Haley in the Republican primary. London was asked to join this local political program not long after our first visit 5 months ago. Back then, she told us she would write in a conservative because she viewed President Biden as too old. Later, she said she viewed Vice President Harris as too liberal and untested. But then, she watched the Harris-Trump debate.
The last straw was what he said about the Ukraine, where he said that we have to have a negotiated settlement. For someone who claims to be a conservative to say that was, in my opinion, outrageous. It's appeasement.
So London is now voting Harris, voting Democrat for president for the first time, because she believes Trump must lose, because she gets the battleground state math.
I needed to vote against allowing him to become president again. I don't want it on my conscience that I contributed in some way to that. Sometimes you have to say, American first, conservative second, Republican third.
And by the way, in Georgia, we're seeing similar patterns. As of yesterday at 3:15 p.m., Fulton County, Georgia had exceeded 40% turnout among all active registered voters. For comparison, it was at 29.8% on Wednesday morning. Meanwhile, Donald Trump's appearance on the Joe Rogan show is getting universally panned. People are saying that it was absolutely horrible. And if you remember, this was the interview that caused him to be more than 3 hours late to his event in Michigan on Friday night. And he had hundreds of people leaving. People were passing out from being too cold. It was a complete and utter mess. Here's the headline from Arizona Central. They say, opinion: Donald Trump's Joe Rogan interview was a brain-rotted waste of 3 hours. Ouch. Let me just show you this low-light reel of Trump's appearance on the Joe Rogan show.
I lost by I didn't lose, but they say I lost, Joe, they say I lost by 22,000 votes. We could go into this stuff. We could go into the ballots, or we could go into the overall. I'll give you another one.
Are you going to present this ever? Do you think like?
Let me just give you one more before. That's your kind of
your
person.
weave is getting wide. We're getting wide with this weave.
But isn't it
I want to bring
better?
it back to tariffs.
But wait one second before we finish with tariffs.
What could you do now?
I do not want to tell you, for the purpose of looking smart to 5 people that that say, oh, he was great. You know what it is? I want to be a whale psychiatrist. It drives the whales frickin' crazy.
And this Trump-Vance ticket is just completely disgraceful in all ways. It's really just the worst of America. And I want to show you this example. So this was going around Reddit. Somebody posted the following. Went to vote early today. There's a no political merch sign. A woman comes to vote wearing Trump gear. They tell her she can't. She calls one poll worker a D-head and rips her shirt off. She told another poll worker to suck her C, and this is why she votes for Trump. Now, this was going around. Everybody was speaking about how kind of psychotic this woman was, how unhinged this woman was. Meanwhile, J.D. Vance, Donald Trump's running mate, the person who would be a heartbeat away from the presidency, reposted this and wrote, "What a patriot," encouraging these attacks on our poll workers, encouraging this psychotic behavior. This right here is a disgrace. This is why we need to leave these people in the dustbin of history. Enough is enough. This is not what America is about. Shame on J.D. Vance. What an absolute disgrace. And you know who kind of summed this up best this weekend? President Joe Biden. Joe Biden was speaking to reporters on Saturday, and he said that Trump has no class at all. Watch this.
Look, Trump has no class at all. Zero. None. Think, all kidding aside, if this wasn't a political campaign, how would you characterize the man in terms of his manners, his decency? I mean, beneath the president.
Biden was also on the campaign trail on Saturday speaking to union workers, and he said that Donald Trump is a loser in every way imaginable. Watch.
Donald Trump is a loser. He's a loser as a candidate. And more importantly, in my view, and I'm just going to say it straight up, he's a loser as a man. He's a loser as a man.
And here are some final thoughts I want to leave you with from Stuart Stevens, political strategist, who's feeling optimistic about the race. Here's what he has to say. Race is remarkably stable. 47% of the country is MAGA or open to MAGA. 53% is not. The goal of Harris-Walz is to coalesce as much of the 53% as possible. Today, Liz Cheney and Bernie Sanders are on the same side. That's not a bad coalition. The differences in polls are about getting the percentage of the 53% that Harris is getting. Trump always stays stuck at 47%. If you were for Trump, you were for Trump months ago. You were looking for someone else to be acceptable. He's functioning as the incumbent. Harris is winning a larger percentage of Republicans than Trump is of Democrats. She's also winning independents. Could Trump win? Sure. But is there any element of the campaign that Trump campaign is performing at a higher level than the Harris campaign? Think of it as a sports matchup. She has better organization, more money, a better message, and is performing at a much higher level than Trump. Most candidates are trying not to make mistakes at this stage of the presidential race. Exhaustion is a key factor, but Harris is improving. Maybe because she hasn't been a candidate for a year and a half. In campaigns, the question you ask every night is, would you rather be your campaign or the other guy? I would rather be Harris. And finally, before I go, let me show you this brilliant new ad from the Harris campaign. Check this out.
Welcome to Mar-a-Lago Senior Living, a state-of-the-art senior facility located on the coast of Florida. If the senior in your life is getting exhausted, it might be time for a change. Here at Mar-a-Lago Senior Living, we care for even the most particular residents.
My teleprompter people doing a great job. As are Asians.
Even the ones who still feel young at heart.
And I'm not 80, and I'm not that close to 80. Put on Pavarotti singing Ave Maria.
Many residents find their favorite music comforting. If the senior in your life tends to wander off, our round-the-clock care has you covered. Mar-a-Lago Senior Living. Watch the Florida sunset while you sundown.
So folks, the momentum is on the side of Team Democracy, so you know what to do. Vote, vote, vote. Make sure that your friends and family vote. Also, please share your stories about voting in the comments with us. We love to read them. Thank you so much for watching. Really appreciate it. Remember to hit subscribe. Help us get to 3.5 million subscribers. The more people who subscribe, the more people we reach. And that is so incredibly important, especially during this crucial time. Thanks again. I'll see you soon.
This is me.
This is me.
This is me!
This is me.
I'm Alex Curtis. I'm a lobsterman in Maine, and this is me.
I'm Ruth McLaughlin, and this is me.
I'm Eric Hopkins. I'm an artist, and this is me.
This is me.
Me.
This is me.
This is me.
This is me.
At the end of the journey, the main thing is you, original.
Welcome to the Trump 2024 convention, brought to you by Project 2025. This week in the horrible city of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, you'll see the best of the Trump Project 2025 party. It's a bold vision for a bright future. With Trump Project 2025, you'll love how new tariffs will make everything more expensive. and set off runaway inflation. We know you'll appreciate paying for the big tax cut our struggling billionaires need. When you seniors are done freeloading, check out Project 2025's plan to end Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security. So get out of that nursing home bed and get back to work. And ladies, this convention has so much in store for you. With Project 2025, you'll learn how good you'll have it in the kitchen. Girls, if your marriage isn't working out, you'll need Project 2025's helpful tips to keep the romance alive, even if he's abusive, because we're getting rid of divorce. And if Mr. Wrong gets you pregnant, welcome to motherhood, because we've ended Roe v. Wade and we're going to criminalize birth control. And minorities, well, you didn't need those silly voting rights anyway. For you Jews, Muslims, Mormons, and other fake religions, you'll get a head start on learning America is a Christian nation. Project 2025 is Donald Trump's plan for your future, and it couldn't be any brighter.
Project 2025 Bright Future Guarantee applies to white evangelical Christian men only. Other conditions may apply. Offer not valid in a functioning republic.
Driver's license, registration.
Here you go, sir. How's your day going?
That's your daughter?
Sure is.
Abigail, right?
How do you know her?
Were you about 8 weeks pregnant? So you've been spotting recently. You've had any cramps or nausea?
That's personal.
You been taking your prenatal vitamins?
Excuse me?
Are you ticketing me for something?
Where are you heading, Abigail?
To go see my older sister, Natalie.
Well, that's strange. This says here that Natalie's at a concert in Dallas. And your navigation is set to a women's health clinic in one of those abortion states.
We have the right to travel.
Not anymore. Step out of the car.
Please, officer.
Both of you out now. You, sir, are under arrest for crossing state lines to obtain an abortion for a minor under your care. And you, young lady, well, you're under arrest for evading motherhood.
America's national security, a president's first job, to protect our nation from all enemies, foreign and domestic. In a dangerous world, Kamala Harris has sworn to do just that. Her commitment is clear.
I will never waver in defense of America's security and ideals, because in the enduring struggle between democracy and tyranny, I know where I stand and I know where the United States belongs. I will ensure America always has the strongest, most lethal fighting force in the world.
And to uphold America's solemn promise to honor our veterans.
And I will fulfill our sacred obligation to care for our troops and their families, and I will always honor and never disparage their service and their sacrifice.
Kamala Harris for president, for a stronger, safer America.
Be a part of the entertainment value of a lifetime.
I loved it.
It was the best performance I've seen in a lifetime.
I loved the show. I liked it very much. He's a very entertaining man. It's well worth the money.
Now appearing in Charlottetown, coming to Halifax November 6th to the 18th, and St. John November 20th through the 26th.
Welcome back, everybody. So, quite a video. Really inspires a lot of enlightenment. You know, I think enlightens us all as to, you know, for the Kamala supporters, we're seeing that we're not alone, that the majority of the country does not want to go back to the days of Donald Trump as president, because they were not happy days. This country suffered significantly under his stewardship, and we just simply don't want that. And he hasn't shown us yet that he's a guy who could be trusted. And I keep saying, well, why would we trust him? For one thing, he's a rapist, he's a criminal, right? You can't even trust him to obey the regular laws the rest of us have to obey, right? So obviously, it would be like trying to put Ted Bundy in the White House, or Jeffrey Dahmer for that matter. Okay, would you trust either one of them? Of course you wouldn't. Common sense would tell you they're not fit for office. And Trump has shown us already this year he's not fit. You know, Biden as much as said that. You know, he called the guy, you know, he's a loser, you know, and he has no class. I mean, that's pretty bad when the President of the United States comes out and says that stuff about you. You don't recover from that. I'm sorry. But, you know, Trump made his bed. And he's going to lose this election because of his flaws. You know, him wanting to be in control of everything, his ego, you know, his need to get away with crimes. These things are what's going to bring about his fall, okay? And he'll be spending next year, you know, dodging courts and all that shit, trying to get away still without the White House as his tool. He's still going to try and get away with the crimes he committed. He betrayed this country, all right? He stole secrets, put our national security at risk. Okay, you can't let somebody like that go. You know, you just can't. We never let anybody in the past go who did things like that in this country. They rot in prison now, rightly so. And he should be in there as well. But for anyone in MAGA who is under the delusion that they think Trump is going to win, okay, let me refresh your memory here. He has no demographics backing him outside of the base of MAGA, okay? He lost the women's vote, and I'm talking majorities here. He lost the women's vote. He lost the veterans' vote. He doesn't even have the support of the military behind him, okay? He lost the Latino vote. He lost the LGBTQ plus community. He lost their vote. He lost the black vote. He lost the unions, okay? He lost the Republican votes. Hey, and he lost his own respect. I mean, if people don't respect him, hey, it won't matter how many demographics, the majority of which that he lost. If people don't respect you, they're not going to vote for you, okay? I mean, Jesus Christ. I mean, at the end of the day, the respect is what you need. Biden had a lot of respect. No matter how bad Trump tried to hurl shit at him, Biden has a lot of respect and always will, okay? And the fact is that people with respect, you know, are not liked by people like Trump, okay? Because, hey, they stand in the way of them getting what they want. And, you know, one of the people that comes to mind that had respect was John McCain, a Republican. The Republican Party never liked John McCain because he was too middle of the road for them, all right? Oftentimes, he wouldn't side with the Republicans because when he knew they were doing something stupid, he'd call them out on it, okay? And they didn't like him. That's why when he tried to run for president, they saddled him with this fucking crazy bitch out of Alaska as his running mate because they knew she'd bring him down, all right? They deliberately sabotaged him so he wouldn't be president. I know they did. They won't admit that, and I know the movie that came out about that shows different, but I know fucking well that they deliberately set him up for that, to fail. Because that wasn't the first time he ran for president. He ran before, and they attacked him for his family, okay, because they were a bunch of racists, okay? They attacked him on that basis, and he lost again. Well, that was the first time, but he lost again when they saddled him with dingbat there from Alaska. Okay, so Sarah Palin rather. So there's a lot of ways you can make somebody lose an election. Okay, and it was easy for the Republicans to not side with him. But the funny thing is the people liked Sarah Palin, and that was the beginning of your crazy ass MAGA cult. All right, that was when this cult started. And if they had paired Sarah Palin with Donald Trump, okay, I think they would have liked that ticket a whole lot better than Donald Trump with JD fucking Vance here. Okay, but again, you know, Palin was ruined. Her family wasn't, you know what I'm saying. Okay, she's just not serious, and you know, so she lost her chance there. But when you run a criminal as a political leader, you're gonna lose. Okay, when people know that this guy committed crimes and all the things that he did, how the fuck do you think you're gonna overcome that? You know, really. You see what a cult mentality does? It forces you to ignore the obvious signs that you're following a lunatic. You know? How many times do we have to learn this in history? Okay? When we analyze those people who died, what was it, 900 to 1,000 people that died under Jim Jones there when he had them drink the Kool-Aid that was poisoned? Okay? You know, we talk about that. You know, we look back, you know, in the history of it and everything, and we see all the signs that were there. Similar to, you know, what happened in Waco, okay? One guy with a big mouth, knows how to gab, knows how to make people believe the things that they want, okay? And he leads them all to their death. How many times do we have to replay this in history before people wake up and understand following lunatics doesn't get you anywhere? Okay? It really doesn't. When we're talking politics, politics should not be treated as some kind of a kid's game. All right? The MAGA people out there are not taking politics serious. And yet, they're the first ones to bitch whenever nothing goes their way. You know, they bitch about taxes. They bitch about no work. It's like, well, when you guys start treating politics in a serious fucking fashion as an American citizen, maybe your government will start to look better. But when you put people like Marjorie Taylor Greene, you know, in a seat of power, and she's acting like a turkey most of the time, okay? When you put Donald Trump out there as the head of your fucking group, what do you think your government's going to become when you do shit like that? You know? Are you really that stupid to think that putting jackasses in power is what's going to help your country? I mean, God almighty. I mean, some of you people really need to get your head examined for one thing. And I feel like, you know, the more they come out and attack, you know, or not attack, but vandalize people who are supporting Kamala Harris by putting signs on their lawn and stuff, and they go over there and they smash them or they spray paint on them, or, you know, whatever the hell they do. Okay, that's their weakness. Okay, they can't stand the fact that she's doing so well, and it irritates them. Yet we're supposed to tolerate them driving around with big noisy trucks with fucking flags the length of a house, you know, out behind them with Trump's name on it. We're supposed to just ignore that. But no, they can't stand a little bumper sticker on somebody's car that supports Kamala Harris. Okay, childishness is what that is. And every time these people do something like that, they prove just how ridiculous that they are. And hell, you know, ridiculous people follow ridiculous people. You know, would we vote for someone that does that as a president? Of course we wouldn't. You know, the majority of the country, even some of their own MAGA people would never vote for some dimwit that goes out there and tears up somebody's yard because they supported Kamala Harris and put them in a seat of power. No. I mean, we watch movies all the time, war movies about leaders that are corrupt and how they ignore the facts on the ground, and how they you know, like Patton, the movie Patton, okay? We see movies like that all the time being made. You know, crazy-ass generals and stuff like that. And so we learn, something about, power corrupting absolutely. Well, what the hell do you think is happening right now? Here's a man who is high on his own fucking ego, okay? What do you think having the White House does to a guy like that? He's already talking like being a dictator, right? He's already been doing that. So what the hell do you think's going to happen to a guy like that when he gets his ass back in the White House? For one thing, he's not going to want to get out of that fucking office. The other thing is, he's going to go after everybody that pissed him off. All right? That's not part of being a president, okay? You don't go after your rivals after you win to destroy them. No president has ever done that. But he wants to be the first one that does. He wants to send the goddamn military, if he has to go after people who disparaged him in some way or something like that. That, my friends, is what dictators do. Okay? That happens in these other countries, these third world countries. And Trump is out there talking about how America's a third world country. Well, he's certainly going to make it that way if he gets in there. Because then that would make his dictatorship seem all the more legitimate, right? And the idea that, he wants to, go after women, and treat them like commodities or like property, okay? I mean, where do you think the line is going to be drawn in the sand when it comes to that? That they can't have any child care or anything like that. If he goes ahead on that, then the next step is what? We're going to take away their right to vote because, hell, they're just women. These MAGA people that are out there supporting Trump would rather see a criminal in the White House as president than a woman. Think about that. The misogyny in that party is as strong as you'll ever see it. That they would prefer a criminal, a man that's even a criminal, to be president than a woman with brains to be president. That goes to show you they ain't got no love for women, and yet there's women that are a member of that party and they are oblivious to that. No common sense. They're not aware of their surroundings. They join these people because of their own narrow vision of what they want to see changed, okay? In the meantime, everybody else around them, is getting stepped on and everything like that, but they don't care. They got their one fucking goal, these single-issue voters that inhabit the MAGA party, that they want to see happen. Everything else doesn't matter to them, okay? Only the one thing. They want to see a ban on abortion. Okay? I know somebody that's like that. All right? And, and she's a banner, abortion banner, okay? And that's all she cares about is that issue right there. And she's going to vote for Trump. And I'm thinking, something? You're ignoring a plethora of other issues that are going on that Trump doesn't even give a shit about, that could turn this country on its ass. And it has nothing to do with abortion. And you're going to vote for this clown whose only focus is that because he wants that vote, which is really not a big vote, not a big block in this country as far as I'm concerned for a voter block. Yeah, it might be, a guidepost or whatever you want to call it to Christianity in this country, but I think you're going to find that if you do a closer look at Christians in this country, you're going to find that a lot of women, aren't all for this ban either, that are part of the Christian movement. Okay, it'd be arrogant to assume that all women that are Christian are for it. I don't think they are. In fact, hey, the fact that so many women have left the Republican Party to vote for Kamala is already proof right there, because a lot of them are Christian, right? So it's not a popular thing. It's a minority of Americans that are for that, all right? And Trump, doesn't want to lose that. But it's like, it doesn't matter. You could lose all those people, but if you're not, if you don't have any other the demographics that I mentioned here that he's lost, okay, you're still not going to win. You're still not going to win. Even if you get every single person that supports the ban on your side, you're still not going to win. To be a president, you can't be that narrow-minded. You have to think about everybody. No matter how difficult it is for you to want to think about other people, you got to remember that you're a leader of not just Christians, okay? You're a leader of Americans. And what does that mean? What does American mean to you, okay? You can't go into the White House as a president and redefine what an American is. No, it's already in the goddamn Constitution what an American is, okay? And it's supposed to be plain as the nose on your face, if you bother to look at it, okay? That big orange nose of yours. But, you know, if you understand what it means to be an American, then you know where your duty lies as a president, not just to these little people or this people over here, that little group there. No, it's everybody. Everybody has to be important because we are all American. Forget the skin color, forget the demographics, forget the religious, you know, what they're connected with religiously. American. We're all, that's the common denominator that ties us all together. Democrat and Republican. We're all American. At the end of the day, that's what we are. But if you got politicians that are only going to be looking at this in divisive ways, like I only want this group and that group, well, you can't possibly win an election that way if you can't speak to everybody. Kamala has been speaking to everybody at her rallies. Everybody, when she talks about issues, she's talking about everybody. Trump hasn't done that yet, okay? He hasn't talking about anybody but himself and his grievances. And he shits on the country every chance he gets. You know, he hates the country. And this is a guy who lives in wealth. What's to hate? He's the most privileged person in America, and he's bitching about America. You know, it's like a kid that's got every fucking toy imaginable, right? And he's sitting here contemplating suicide. You know, it's like, what the hell? How can you not be how can you be unhappy? Well, we all know that some of the cause of that would be he's got a mental problem. Well, if Trump has all this money, has everything that you can imagine, okay, and he's so unhappy, then what is it? He's got a mental problem. And we see it as plain as day. We see that too when he's out there at his rallies, okay? He's deteriorated so much in his old age here that, you know, he's so unfit. It's terrible how unfit he is. I mean, Jesus, you wouldn't want a guy like that in charge of your military. You wouldn't want a guy like that in charge of your police force or your fire department, okay? Because, hey, things are not going to get done right. You know, he couldn't even run a casino. And Jesus, I mean, this was when he was younger. People were giving money to a casino, and he bankrupted it 6 times. Jesus. You know, and he talks about, oh, I know business, I know how to fix the economy. No, he doesn't. He has no idea what to do, and he don't even care. Why? Because he's doing fine financially. For one thing, he's got enough wealth. Why should he care about anybody else's struggling? All right? He's just going to tell you that, so you'll vote for him. Once he's in there, you know, it's goodbye, voters. Okay, I'm in here, and now you're going to have to live under my rule and my ideas. It's like what he did the last time. All right? Fucking pandemic comes around, and he tells people, don't listen to the CDC. They don't know what they're talking about. It's just a hoax. Yeah, 1 million plus people die from that hoax, right? Whenever anything that looks bad for him comes out, he tries to minimize it, you know, and redefine it. And the dingbats in the MAGA movement are the only people that'll believe it. Nobody else outside of that will believe it. That's why they don't want to talk to people, okay? And why they get pissed whenever they're challenged by somebody that asks them, you know, why are you doing this? Why are you believing in that? They don't like that. For one thing, they can't answer that because it's all about blind faith. And blind faith has no facts, okay? There's no facts to back up that. Second thing is, I think they know instinctively, or at least somewhere in their mind they know, that the guy they're backing has flaws, and they don't want to acknowledge it. They don't want to be tripped up into saying that he is flawed. All right. And like I said, when Trump loses next month in the election, it's not going to be as big a surprise to MAGA as you might think. There's already people in MAGA right now who are already preparing for that loss. And I've seen articles have written about that. There's already people getting ready for that and what they're going to do with the team of lawyers they got, or where they're going to challenge here and challenge here. They're already setting up the chessboard here, basically, for a loss, because they see that Kamala has got all the momentum. She has all the energy. She's got all the crowds. Okay, the country loves her. Everybody knows she's going to win this thing. If the signs are all there, Trump isn't going to win this. You know, he's been going downhill ever since. I mean, Kamala's got like a 21-point lead ahead of him in many areas, okay? He's not going to win this. He can't win it. There's no fucking way he can win it. It's mathematically impossible, okay? Because he's cut his own throat in so many areas in this country that it's impossible to recover from that. I don't care how many Trump people want to comment here on this video and say, oh, you're wrong, you're wrong. Don't even waste your time, because I'm not going to listen. All right, the stuff that I'm getting, the information that I'm seeing shows, and hey, I've never been wrong about these elections and stuff like that. Okay, I can sense this is not going to be a good day or a good year for Trump. Okay, and the MAGA people, prepare to lose, because it's going to happen. And the only chance Trump will have is to try to challenge the veracity of the election, to try to challenge the count, to try to somehow overturn here and overturn there. But if the Democrats come out in big numbers, like I think they are, okay, then it's really, at the end of the day, those challenges aren't going to really matter a whole hell of a lot. It's not going to give him, if he makes any gains, it's not going to give him enough to put him over the top. All right? So that's what I'm saying. This election, I feel, is already decided here. And Democrats have really spoken loud and clear across the country that they don't like Trump. They don't trust Trump. Okay? He stinks to high heaven. We are sick of hearing him talk. We're sick of seeing his face on TV. The media needs to take notice of that, because they're not helping him either. Okay? I don't care how much of a horse race they want to make this, but your polling data is wrong. And it's going to be proven wrong on November the 5th. And it's going to, people are going to be scratching your head again for the umpteenth time. Why is the number so different than what we... It's because you people haven't updated the method of which you poll in fucking 30 years. Okay? We've had the internet around all this time, and these people still don't know how to use that to gain your fucking data. When you figure that out, when you stop trying to call people at home and you start getting them online, that's when your numbers are going to start to show a little more accuracy. Until then, you're screwed. Nobody should be listening to any polling data, because it's all manufactured by the press, and they want this to be a horse race because it sells time for advertisers. Okay? Keeps people riveted so they can sell their products or whatever the hell they're trying to sell these days to the American people. So, anyway, it's a very tangible and real thing that's happening, okay? And I feel like, with the whole party behind her, basically, and a lot of Republicans too, I don't see how she could lose. I really don't see how she could possibly lose this, okay? And, MAGA, I know you know that the chances of him winning are slim, okay? I know you do that. You just don't want to admit it because you're sore losers. The sour grapes is already happening right now, and I can sense it. But you guys, I'll do a video explaining to you why you lost, okay? And I hope that you listen and understand why. Because I think only after you lose will you'll open your mind up to being... showed why you were wrong. Right now, you're too arrogant and closed-minded to hear it. But like I always say in the past, people have to learn lessons the hard way. They have to stumble and fall flat on their face, okay, before they're told, they won't believe that there's a cliff at the end of the fucking road until they actually go over that cliff. All right, so you people have to lose first before what I gotta tell you is actually gonna stick in your mind. So I'm gonna wait until after that, so you guys will listen more closely, because if I tell you now, you're not gonna listen. You're just gonna tell me to shut up or whatever. I know what you're gonna do. So I'll let you know. Anyway, I hope everybody has a great work week coming up, and have some good weather. Hope people in North Carolina, Florida, and the areas that are stricken with the hurricane, hope you guys are able to get yourself out to vote. I know the places must be pretty damaged down there, like I can't imagine. But I hope you guys can get out there and vote if wherever you can. Vote soon, vote early. You know, when you're in your situation, don't wait. Okay, just get there wherever you can. And I hope everybody gets through that okay down there. And subscribe, comment, and share. And keep your ears open for any health matters. And treat each other nice out there. Don't vandalize people's property because they've got a sign there. You know, be adults. Be a good example for other people. Don't devolve into childishness. Don't do like what Trump's done. I'll talk to you guys later. So take care. Bye-bye.